Hello and welcome on in. It's a new week here on Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, your number one tennis betting podcast and YouTube show brought to you in association with Bet Rivers, your hometown sportsbook. I'm Nigel, Seeley, and joining me over in Rome is Sean Calvert. Before I introduce you to Sean, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that like, give us a comment, give us a review. Very important information for you to do. If you can hit that button, it increases our chances, increases our getting to 10,000 followers. The analytics like it, we like it, and hopefully you like the content we are providing to you. So it doesn't cost anything. Please hit that subscribe button, and that is all I ask you to do. Now, the man who has got anything to do is the man who's got to find the winners this week over in Rome. It is Sean Calvert, our senior ATP Tour handicapper, and he is in the Eternal City now, stuffed out after his breakfast, eating lots of pizzas, lots of pasta. How are you, mate? You look a bit bloated already. It's only early.
I feel like I've put on about a stone. I've only been here for about 20 hours. Yeah, it was the place I'm staying. It's not. It's more like a sort of guest suites. It's not a hotel as such. So they provide breakfast, but they do it downstairs at like a local cafe, which is basically underneath where I am now. But it's all bread, isn't it? Pain au chocolat, pizzas, all that stuff. I had pizza yesterday, pasta last night. So yeah, I might need to. There's a little shop actually down there. I might have to invest in some sort of shopping, a few apples, all that sort of thing. Try and reduce the sort of carb overload and balance the old digestive system a bit. But yeah, it's all good. It's lovely city, Rome. Always like coming here.
Yeah, if you can follow Sean over on our Instagram page at Because We Win, also on all our socials at Because We Win. He'll give you a lowdown where he is, and he'll be at the tennis later on in the week until Friday, until I arrive in Rome, and I'm bringing Simon Holden with me. So Simon Holden, one of our handicappers,
is coming.
Yeah, so there should be good content there. There is a rumour that some, the three of us are going there to make our claim to be the next pope, but I don't think we're going to get through.
I don't think I've got the credentials.
No, I don't think. I think we might struggle a little bit.
I did go to the Vatican City last time I was here, actually, but the queue was insane. I was here with a friend last year, and we were sort of wandering about. We walked into the Vatican City, and the queue to get into the whatever the bit is, I don't even know. This is why my credentials for Pope aren't that good. I don't even know what they were queuing for. But it was huge. It was all around that massive square. It must have been like a mile long, that queue. So,
it's called St. Peter's Square.
Whatever it's called.
The queue to go into the Basilica.
There you go.
St. Peter's.
You know more about it than I do. I'm very much a kind of whistle-stop tourist. Sort of look at something, maybe take a photograph and move on.
That's why it's always good to get the tour tickets before you go, because you avoid the queue. You pay about an extra 10 quid, but you avoid the queue. I know you don't like spending an extra 10 quid, Sean, but it's well worth doing, mate. It's well worth doing. Trust me.
It would be well worth doing if I was interested in going into this place, but I don't even know what it is. I mean, it's a big square. There's nothing in it, from what I can tell.
I took my mum in there to the Sistine Chapel where they are doing the next Pope, and we got blessed.
She's quite religious, though, isn't
the Cardinal, yeah, and it made her whole life anyway.
Yeah, it would. I mean, for me,
she was very happy.
It doesn't mean anything, but to somebody of that sort of religious persuasion, then absolutely, yeah. For me, it would just be, I'd just be wasting my time. I think, and wasting other people's time, probably more accurately. But I've got to be at the tennis. I haven't got time for these frivolities.
Exactly. How many days are you going to be there?
I'm going up in a bit when I've done this video just to have a look at qualies. The reason I'm going to pop up today, well, I was going to go anyways, because they've changed some of the courts, from what I understand. There's definitely a new one called Super Sport or Super Tennis Arena, something like that.
I think we're on that.
That's brand new.
No, I'm on Grandstand Arena.
Okay, the Super Tennis or whatever it's called, that's definitely new. I think they've done something to Pietrangeli as well. Maybe they've put more seating in there or something. I hear they've done something. Anyway, I want to see it for myself, because obviously I've been there before and I want to see what it's like now. I'm going to catch a couple of the qualifying matches. It's mainly women's on today, but there's by the time I get up there, there'll probably be 3 or 4 men's matches that I can have a quick look at as well.
Now, you're there, obviously. I looked at the weather forecast. It's a bit indifferent for the next week. Depending on what weather forecast you look at, yeah, it does keep changing.
It keeps changing. There was a severe thunderstorm warning here yesterday, which didn't happen. It said there was going to be 23 millimetres of rain, but with these thunderstorms, if it just misses by like half a mile or something, it's kind of irrelevant. It didn't hit. I'm just looking out the window now. There's sunny skies. There's supposed to be a little bit of rain tomorrow morning, from what I understand, but the rest of the week looks fine. Next week, a little bit sketchy, but this time of the year, it's about those sort of thunder showers, and if they come, and if they do come, if they hit the local area. But all we can work with is what we've got at the minute, and the weather doesn't look too bad. Bit of rain tomorrow, but that's about it, I think.
I've been there once before, 2 years ago, and the weather was awful. and we got washed out one of the matches we went, and then one of the days we
it
went,
was
total washout. It was awful, absolutely awful. So hopefully
Harry
the weather
was there,
will be.
Is it?
I brought me boy with me. Yes,
We had a little meal, didn't we, in Rome somewhere?
Yeah, it was nice. But he didn't really say much, did he? He wasn't really enamoured by the Rome and the culture around the city.
He didn't seem to be.
No, he just wanted his pizza and get on his iPhone and tablet and just go to bed. That's all he wanted to do. Anyway, let's have a look at the tournament. Before we go into the tournament, look at the bracket, look at the outright prices, look at the best bets in round one that Sean has found for us. Give us some trends here, Sean. I mean, the thing here, let's go through a couple of the previous winners. In 2024, Zverev won it. 2023, Medvedev won it. Djokovic. It's been won by the main players, Djokovic in 20, Nadal 21. But there has been some big prize finalists. I mean, Nicolas Djere got to the final. We had Tsitsipas. Diego Schwartzman was a finalist as well. So, it's usually we run by the winners. Holger Rune was in the final in 2023 as well. So it's usually been won by the sort of the more, big names players, but the finalists have always got a good chance. And the one thing you really got to take from this tournament, obviously the big talking point, which we haven't even mentioned yet, is Jannik Sinner's coming back, which we'll come on to in a second. But Sinner and Alcaraz haven't got a great record here, not at all. So if you are going to get them beat, this could be the tournament that you could get them beat in the build-up to the French Open. Before we talk Sinner and Alcaraz, give us the trends.
Okay, well, I'll do the conditions and then the trends. Yeah. I mean, the conditions, all the courts play differently. They're very, very different, the courts here, aren't they? Some of them are built up. Pietrangeli is kind of sunken, isn't it, into the ground. It's a beautiful court, Pietrangeli. Be interested to see what they've done to that, actually. But all the courts play differently. But generally speaking, it's usually quicker than your average clay court event. So certainly quicker than Monte Carlo, Barcelona. Obviously, it's weather dependent. But the statistics show that it's a little bit quicker than those two tournaments. Not as quick as Madrid, obviously, because that's altitude, but it averages 77% hold, 69.4% first serve points won. That puts it a good couple of percent ahead of 2 or 3% ahead of Monte Carlo and Barcelona. 36% of the matches feature a tie break. There's quite a trend to the unders, actually. 57% of the matches have gone under 22.5 games in the last 6 editions, which will be of interest to overs and unders bettors. Underdogs, it kind of average. It averages 30% underdog winners as a whole. The best round is the opening round, but even that's only 33%. So no really big rounds for the underdogs, but round one is the best. If you backed every underdog for $10 in the last 9 editions, you'd be down by $412. So generally speaking, it's not a good one if you're thinking of blanketing the underdogs. Whether we've touched on the trends. So the interesting thing to point out is the difference here between Madrid and Rome. It's very different with the altitude in Madrid. It makes it difficult for the players that have gone really deep. I'm talking about the final, really, to come to Rome and kind of carry on because it is so different. The last player to win Madrid and Rome back-to-back was Rafael Nadal back in 2013. It's not been done for quite some time, the back-to-back Madrid and Rome. The top seed has only won the title here 4 times in the last 16 years. But the top seed has made the final in 5 of the last 7 years. And additionally, the winner has been one of the top 3 seeds in all of the last 7 editions since Zverev won it as number 16 seed back in 2017. As far as qualifiers are concerned, only one player from the quali draw has made it past the quarterfinals in the last 21 years, and that was Luca back in 2016.
Yep, it has been a tournament that has been dominated by the big players over the years, as we touched on there. And the big players this week, obviously, it's the return of the world number one, the Italian favourite, the overwhelming number one. He's had 3 months off. He's returned in his home tournament. Nobody's caught up with him at number one in the world. It looks as though it's just a brilliant sort of bit of business by him, really. To be fair, to pick it, no, he just comes back fresh as a daisy when everyone's falling apart. And that man is obviously Jannik Sinner, and he's come back straight in as favourite here at plus 225 with Bet Rivers. Before we break down the bracket, let's talk about Sinner here. Hasn't got a good record here. Didn't play last year, and he's only he's only ever got to the quarterfinals. So,
correct. Yeah. How
do you feel he's going to go? Do you think that he's just going to rock up and just be exactly where he left off, or he's going to be a little bit rusty, or one place he's going to get crowd support is Rome here. It's going to it's perfect for him, really.
Yeah, it's perfect for him. But I don't think he was even allowed to train until mid-April, if I remember correctly about what his so-called punishment was. That he wasn't allowed to train at all. I don't know how you can stop him from training though.
Surely he must have a tennis court and a gym and stuff in his house. Surely
you would think. I believe that was what one of the stipulations was, that he wasn't allowed to train until April the 16th or something. But how do you stop a guy from training unless you're spying on him 24 hours a day? I mean, it just doesn't really, none of this makes any sense. This doesn't make any sense either. But yeah, I mean, he's not got a great record here. 64% win rate, yet to make the semi-finals. I mean, he's saying all the right things, isn't he? He's trying to be humble. He's saying, it would be good to win a couple of matches. I'm sure he doesn't believe that. I'm sure he's coming here with the intention of winning the tournament. But it's a big ask, isn't it, to just rock up and beat all these guys, having not played competitively for 3 months. Hasn't played on clay, obviously, for quite a while, although I assume all his training if he's been allowed to, I imagine all his training is centered around clay, because, obviously that was his next tournament. He's had 3 months. You could say he's had 3 months to prepare for this. You could look at it a number of ways. I just think it's a tall order for him just to rock up and beat all these guys in his first tournament back. I mean, I wouldn't be backing him at plus 225, that's for sure.
No, he has been training with Jack Draper over in Monte Carlo on the clay, straight after Monte Carlo Open before the Madrid. So he has been doing some training with Jack Draper over there. And obviously Jack Draper's coming here in great form. But obviously what Sean said there, the players who got to the final, Ruud and Draper, may struggle to the adaptation. We've seen that in the Indian Wells and Miami. You see, every semi-finalist in Indian Wells got beat in the first round in Miami. And it's a similar kind of thing here between Madrid and Rome, isn't it?
Yeah, just very different conditions. Rome's reasonably quickish for a clay event, but it's still sea level. The ball doesn't fly as much. In Madrid, it's flying all over the place. You look at the players that have, Draper won it. Well, should have won it. Lost in the final, bit of a choke if we're being honest. Should have won it. Got to the final. I don't think he even had his serve broken until the final, if I remember rightly. People like Diallo coming in. These aren't clay court players. You've got to be a clay court to win Rome. Very few players. I mean, I haven't got the list in front of me, but pretty much every player that's won this is a clay courter or is very, very adept on this surface. You wouldn't fancy the likes of Draper here. I mean, he looks injured anyway. So yeah, I've forgotten where I was going with this actually.
Yeah. No, we were just talking about the difference when you said about the players coming the week before into this tournament. They've got a bad record, and I just sort of mentioned the two players got to the final. Maybe a fade in the early rounds, if or second round, whatever.
It's very, very difficult. Yeah, I mean, not to the physical element. Obviously, Draper didn't look fit at all in the final, did he? Ruud had a rib issue in the semi-final, so I think those two would be. I'd be surprised if either of them made the final this week.
And obviously, the French Open is only 3 weeks away, and we'll have you covered here on Betting Weekly Game Bet Match and across the Betting Weekly studios and on our socials at Because We Win. Now, let's have a look at this draw before we go into the odds. And if you're new to the channel or you're new to tennis betting, it's a 96-man draw. 64 players play for the right to play the seeded players. So 32 players are seeded. First round sees 64 players, and the winner will play one of the big Cs, the 32 players. If the seedings go the way the seedings are, which they never do, in Q1 it will be Jannik Sinner against Casper Ruud. In Q2 it will be Taylor Fritz against Alex de Minaur. Q3 we'll see Jack Draper play Carlos Alcaraz. In Q4 we'll see Lorenzo Musetti against Alexander Zverev. In Q1 you have some dangerous floaters though. You have Davidovich Fognini, you have Francisco Cerundolo, you have Berrettini. Obviously there's a lot of, I went through this, so many good Italians. It's incredible how many good Italians there are on this tournament. In Q2 you have Taylor Fritz, you have Hurkacz, you have Mensik, you have Rublev, you have Fonseca, you have Mahak, you have Auger-Aliassime, so some good opponents there. Q3, Jack Draper, Sebastian Baez, Holger Rune is in there as well, number 9, just missed out in the top 8. And obviously you have Khachanov, and then in the bottom quarter, Musetti, Nakashima, Medvedev, Poprin, Artelfi, Tsitsipas as well. So whichever way you look at it, there are some difficult quarters, there are some easier quarters. We're going to come on to the bracket in a minute, but these are the odds with Bet Rivers. Jannik Sinner is the favourite, as we touched on, 225. Alcaraz is $2.50. Alexander Zverev, a two-time champion here, is $6. Casper Ruud is $8. Holger Rune is $10. Alex de Minaur $20. Jack Draper $20. Tsitsipas $20. Cerundolo $25. $25 for Fritz, Medvedev and Musetti, and $33 Artel fees, 50-1 bar that. There obviously is no Novak Djokovic in this tournament as well. He has had to pull out injured, and there's only 2 players in the draw who have won this event: Alexander Zverev and Daniil Medvedev, who is just on the graphic there at 25-1. Now, Sean, looking at this graphic, I think Q1 is difficult. I think there's a lot of difficult players in that Q1. I think there's a lot of players, I think Sinner's got it quite tough. Cerundolo in particular. Q2 to me looks the weakest section of the draw, but overall, I think the top half is a lot easier than the bottom half.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that at all. I think if you take Sinner out of this top half of the draw, everyone should be rubbing their hands thinking I can make a Masters final on clay here. Just looking at it here, it's not easy for me because the guy that printed it out on reception, I think he needs to restock his black ink. It's a little bit faded.
Get on TripAdvisor, Sean. Get on TripAdvisor.
Yeah. There's a couple of things I could mention, but the shower's not really draining very well. Anyway, whatever.
Leave it to TripAdvisor.
Yeah, I'll leave it for TripAdvisor. Yeah, take him out, and this is a very, very open draw. Whereas at the bottom half of the draw, you've got quality kind of all over it, haven't you? In Q3, you've got obviously Draper, Rune, Alcaraz, and then Q4 loads of good players in Q4 as well. Q2 looks very, very open. I think. Well, I'm going to take one in Q1, one in Q2 because I think this top half is more open. So I'm going to take a couple of players in the top half and one in the bottom half. Yeah, this top. If you take Sinner out, there's a really good opportunity there, and Sinner may well fall early.
Now, I obviously don't know who Sean is going to tip because we don't share this information until we come on the show. But I was looking at a player there who I thought was playing out with skin who could beat Sinner. I think you're going to get Sinner beat. You're going to get him beat early on. And I like the look of Davidovich-Fokina here. I don't know if he's the one of your picks. Is that the one you like?
He's the one that I'm hoping will beat Sinner.
Yeah, I think he could beat Sinner early. I think if you're going to get Sinner beat, you're going to get him beat early. And I think Davidovich-Fokina will be a tough match. As long as Davidovich-Fokina can keep his head. Which is difficult.
50-50 at best.
I think he's got a chance of beating him.
I think he has. I mean, that's how I've planned this out. I mean... I always plan these out. It often doesn't go the way that I expect, mainly because of injuries. But yeah, just looking at this bracket here, the Q1, Davidovich, you would hope, would beat Sinner, which would leave the way open for my guy in Q1. That's the plan.
So your guy has to be Francisco Cerundolo.
It does, yeah. You're correct. Yeah. It is Cerundolo. I just think this is a tall order for Jannik Sinner. I know it's his home tournament, but I can't see him coming in. He may well prove me wrong. I just can't see him coming here and just knocking all these guys off and just landing a Masters and then heading off happily to the French Open. It's a bit too convenient for me. I mean, Cerundolo, he should be gutted at his display in the semi-finals in Madrid, where he should have beaten Casper Ruud. All ends up he was minus $5, 1.2 in play, break up in both sets, won the service points, won in return points, won titles, ended up taking he took 3 out of about, I think it was 18 break point chances. So poor on the big points. Just a bad mental effort from him. And if he's approaching that the right way, he should be looking at that thinking, right, I've been super consistent this year. I've got the semis in Santiago, quarterfinals in Indian Wells, quarterfinals in Miami, semifinals in Munich, semifinals in Madrid. A couple of my losses were to Carlos Alcaraz. I'm coming in here with a service points, won in return points, won a total of 106. This season, I've got a great record against top 10, top 20 players. It's just that slight issue with the sort of the mental fortitude that has kind of let him down. But I think the more often he gets in those positions, the more kind of relaxed he'll be, because he looked very tight in those big moments against Casper Ruud. I mean, Ruud, I don't think he played that well all tournament, really. He got lucky against Cerundolo for me. Got lucky against Draper. Draper should have won the opening set, choked it, then ended up struggling physically. So this is a good chance. Cerundolo should also be looking at it as a chance of revenge against Casper Ruud as well. So he's my man in Q1. I believe he's 25-1. I think the bet.
There was also some pictures as well on social media of Casper Ruud celebrating his 1,000 event, and he's a bit of a party boy. And I think he had a
rib issue.
Yeah, I think he could be quite vulnerable. If he gets through, he's through to round 2. If he's going to be Saflin or Alexander Bublik, which could be a problem. Then he runs into Berrettini. I think he's going to get beat early this week. So that opens up the draw for Cerundolo. And obviously there's this one man to get over. It's Jannik Sinner. So that's in Q1. That's our main pick. That's 25-1 with Bet Rivers for Francisco Cerundolo. Probably the most consistent performer this year, I would say. Probably right up there.
Certainly one of, yeah.
Without a doubt. And we know he's got a brilliant record against the top players, as Sean has touched on the show many, many times. His record against the top 10 is exceptional, and it could be a good time to face Sinner. Hopefully, Davidovich-Fokina beats him and then runs into the Argentinian. But even if he doesn't, I think Cerundolo will give him a match as well. So we got Cerundolo. We've got another one in the top half in Q2.
Yeah, I'm taking a chance on Fonseca here in the second quarter. I mean, I would love a repeat of the Buenos Aires final in the semi-finals here. Fonseca beats Cerundolo in that particular tournament in the final. As you said, and I agree, Q2, it does look really, really open. I know it's a tough draw for Fonseca. If you're looking at the early draw, he's got to play Marijan first up, which is not going to be that easy. But if he overcomes that, which he should really, then he's got Rublev after that. And Rublev he's got no luck at all, has he, Rublev? Just nothing's going his way at the minute. He'll probably end up winning this tournament now that I've said that. But everything's difficult for Rublev at the minute. All the players he could have got in his first match, Fonseca, I think would be somewhere near the bottom, if not the bottom, of the list. He beat Rublev easily, very comfortably at the Australian Open in straight sets. Rublev doesn't like playing players that can out-muscle him, can out-hit him on the forehand side, and you would certainly suggest that Fonseca can do that, or at least match him. Rublev doesn't like it. So that would be a very tough match for him. I'm looking at the wrong half of the draw here. Yeah, there he is. A very tough match for Rublev first up. And then if he wins that, okay, he might have Mensik, but I'm not sold on Mensik on slowish clay. As I said the other day, his first serve does do a lot of the heavy lifting for him. Second serve isn't, he's not winning anywhere near enough of those points. So if he gets through, it's a tricky section for sure. If he gets through that section, I really wouldn't be too worried about too many of the other players in Q2. You got Fritz, Hurkacz coming back from injury. De Minaur, you would certainly fancy Fonseca's chances of beating him on clay. There's nothing else. Tommy Paul, I think, made the semis here. Might have been last year or the year before. He's not looked at it this season at all, really. Tommy Paul. There's nothing else in that Q2 that would really worry me. Yes, he could lose in the first round to Marijan or in the second round to Rublev, but if he doesn't, and there's a pretty good chance that he won't, then I feel like he's got a decent chance of at least making the quarters or the semis here.
What price are we getting Fonseca?
He's 40 to 1.
Well, I have a word with John there. He's missed him off. I thought
he wasn't. To be fair, it's not John's fault. He wasn't on the list. He wasn't on the list.
Oh, don't play it. Listen, it just don't stand up for John. Anyway, Fonseca is 40 to 1.
It was your fault, John.
It was your fault. He's 40 to 1 with Bet Rivers 25 to 1. Cerundolo. If we're going to go into the bottom half of the draw, did you say you had something in the bottom half of the draw? Did you say
yes?
Yeah. Oh, we have. Oh, good. Yep. Just to give you some information about Carlos Alcaraz. Obviously, didn't play last year. His record here, like Sinner, is pretty poor. And he famously got beat by Marijan. That was the year I was out there. It was the match I was at, actually.
Yeah.
And Marijan thoroughly deserved that one. It was one of the biggest shocks it was the biggest shock of the year that day. And he hasn't got a good record here in Rome at all, Alcaraz. He's in Q3 up against with Jack Draper, where, Jack Draper is not fit as well. And you've got Holger Rune in there who's got to the final. Q4, Massetti playing well, the Italian. We forget about these Italians. So many of them, as I said. And Alexander Zverev, who has won it twice before, but 6 to 1 is probably no value. So where are we going to go for the value in the bottom half?
I was looking at Holger Rune, but not at this price, 10 to 1. Not for me. He's got to get through Alcaraz. I know he did that recently in Barcelona, but you would think Alcaraz is not going to let that stand. He's not going to be happy about that. You would think if those two met, which they met, they're seeded to do, aren't they? Or certainly close to seeded to do that. They're in that bracket that they would meet in.
Yeah, they're quarterfinal, mate.
Yeah, exactly. So it's too short, that is, isn't it? He's got to beat all the players beforehand. Then he's got to beat Alcaraz. Then he's got to beat whoever in the Q4. It's too short for me, and everyone's got their price. And Rune's got a good chance, but not at those odds, especially given his physical condition. I don't think I could cope with another mid-tournament retirement or withdrawal. So I'm kind of overlooking Q3. Alcaraz has only played a couple of matches here, so it's kind of early days. And I don't think he'd won in Monte Carlo at all, actually, before he won that tournament. No. I think he'd only played one match. So yeah, very early days in his Rome career for Alcaraz. For me, the bet is in Q4, and I think we have to take Lorenzo Musetti. He's another 25 to 1 shot with Bet Rivers. In the form of his life now. He said that he believes he's a top 10 player. He's in the top 10. He believes he belongs in the top 10, and that's kind of showing itself now with the consistency and the form that he's shown. If you look at the players in the draw, in this Q4 of the draw, he's beaten Zverev the last couple of times they've played. He's beaten Artur Fils when they met on clay. He's beaten Tsitsipas the last 2 times they've met on clay. I saw Tsitsipas yesterday, actually, wandering down the street with, I don't know who he was with. some bloke.
Palabadosa.
No, it was a guy. I don't know who it was. Maybe it's...
Did he say hello? Did he take kind of a selfie with Sean Calvert from Betting Weekly Game Bet Match?
He didn't recognise me, actually.
What? Come on.
I say that. He wasn't looking. It's not like he looked at me and went,
okay.
No.
Well, if he looked, he may have recognised you. That's what you're trying to say.
Possibly, but he's about a foot taller than me, so it's he's very tall, Tsitsipas. I know he looks tall on TV, but all these tennis players are huge compared to my 5'9" on a good day. Anyway, where was I going with that? Yeah, Tsitsipas.
Where you got them extra inches from? 5'9".
On a good day. On a good day, like I said, when I'm standing particularly straight. Yeah, he's beaten Tsitsipas the last couple of times they've played. Never played Medvedev on clay, but you would fancy him to beat Medvedev. Final in Monte Carlo, semi-finals in Madrid, home tournament here. The fans pretty much got him through in Monte Carlo. I know it's not a home tournament, but it virtually is. And they're going to be even more raucous here. I know he might be feeling a little bit in his legs because, he's played a lot of tennis, but I don't think he's going to care. If he gets to the final in Rome and wins this tournament, I'm not sure he's going to be that bothered about how he's feeling after this. So great chance. He's the form pick in that quarter, 25-1. If he gets through that quarter, there's Alcaraz, he's not, we haven't talked about his fitness, have we? How fit is he? We don't know. We'll find out. So yeah, I think Musetti is the form choice, 25-1 each way with Bet Rivers.
There are 3 picks there to take on the 2 favourites. Jannik Sinner on his comeback in Carlos Alcaraz. Not a good record, not in the best of form, is he 100% fit? We do not know. So there's 3 players there to get involved in on the winner market. Cerundolo, 25-1, Musetti, 25, and Fonseca, 40-1, all with Bet Rivers available now on the app. Make sure you head across there because it's an early start tomorrow. It's around about 6 a.m. in the morning, 11 o'clock start. Well, it might be 5 a.m. actually, but it's an early start tomorrow. So make sure you get these bets on tonight before the lines change or the market is suspended. It'll probably be suspended this afternoon because there's some play, but early evening, early afternoon, you'll have the odds available. Now, we're going to move our attention on to 4 matches tomorrow, and we're going to start off with a young British player who's doing quite well at the moment, Jacob Fearnley. But he's got a real test against a legend of Italian tennis, a man who's got huge support. I would imagine this will be on the court that goes. What's the name of the court that goes underneath? It'll be on there. It will be. On the atmosphere there is incredible, and Jacob Fearnley will not know what hit him. I really don't. I think he's in for a bit of a shock here. I know he's making moves in the world. He's up inside the top 60 for the first time. He's ranked at 57, but odds here look fairly disrespectful for a man in Fognini who is a legend of Italian tennis. He's won the Monte Carlo Masters. He's done well here in the past. Minus 315 for Jacob Fearnley, plus 245 for Fognini. A massive 4.5 on the spread. And the total here is 21.5. Now, it's all the question about how much has Fognini got in his legs? How much has he got to give? But we know he's a big-time player. We know he loves playing here. And we know that Jacob Fearnley will be supported by Mr. and Mrs. Fearnley, his mum and dad, and his girlfriend. There. And that will be it. That will be it.
That will be it. I mean, even they'll probably be tempted to give a little round of applause to Fognini. I mean, look, this will probably be Fognini's last Rome. I mean, the way he's playing, I can't imagine he'll be here next year. Maybe he will for like a wild card farewell or something like that. But, this is his last competitive appearance you would expect in Rome. And he's going to give it absolutely everything he's got here without a shadow of a doubt. We know he's only interested in the big stage. Has been for a number of years. He's not bothered about the tour grind. He just does it so he keeps his ranking up and lets him get into these sort of tournaments. Although he probably would have got a wild card here anyway. But the other big tournaments, you got to get your ranking up. That's the only reason I would say he's playing. I mean, if you look at his record, lost last week to Oberleitner in where was he playing? The Mauthausen Challenger. The difference between that and this, it's going to be night and day. If this is on Pietrangeli, as you said, first of all, I'll have to start queuing now to get a ticket. Because I remember last time I was there, the same year as you, 2023, I think he was playing Kecmanovic, Fognini. I could not get on there. The crowd was absolutely packed for the women's game that was on before that. There was an Italian lady playing before that, and nobody moved. Not a single person left after the WTA match. So I was kind of on the outskirts. I could barely see a thing. So if this is on Pietrangeli in the day, this is going to be a nightmare for Fearnley as far as the crowds are concerned, the situation is concerned. The other thing I don't like about Fearnley here is that, or his price anyway, is that the players that have gone well in Madrid, as I said, they'll find it very different without the altitude to help them. Fearnley's one of those players. Played great in Madrid, but de Minaur beat him very, very easily in Barcelona. And that was after he got back into the draw as a lucky loser. Daniel Alahi Galan beat him in straight sets. Excuse me, after struggling, I think it was 7-6, 7-5 against Leo Borg. I think I'd give Leo Borg a decent match on another good day. And then he got back into the main draw, got an injured Cabaj Baena, who then pulled out the doubles, who wasn't remotely fit, Cabaj Baena, and then de Minaur beat him very easily. And those are the only clay court tournaments he's ever played, Fearnley, at any level. Never played on any other clay court tournament, just Barcelona, where he struggled, and Madrid, where, not surprisingly, he did better. Plays more like a hard court there. So there's a lack of experience at sea level on clay for Fearnley. And this is, as you said, you summed it up. It's about what Fabio's got left. What's he got left in his legs? What's he got left ability-wise? If he can't take a set here in this situation, or at least a set with the crowd making it massively hostile, he might want to think about, hanging his racket up, because this is a match that he should be looking at this thinking, well, this guy's hardly ever played on clay. Great chance for me here to carry on the little dream run that he might have in Rome. The price has changed very, very quickly on this one. I looked about an hour or so ago. He was plus money, Fognini, plus 108 just to win a set. It feels like one of them. Fabio, in this advanced stage of his career, he can light it up, then it goes missing for a bit, then he's back again, then it goes missing again. So it's probably going to be a long one, I should think. Fognini plus 1.5 sets. I'll be very disappointed if he can't win at least a set in this scenario.
Minus 113. That is. I thought you might do it the way we were doing Wawrinka to win the first set. You
never know with Fabio though.
Yeah,
he could lose the first set 6-1 or something, and then win the second set 6-1. He's not the same animal. He's very unpredictable. But I expect him to have at least one set where he's in a position to win it. If that's where I'm going here. I'll be very disappointed if this is 2-0 to Fearnley.
Yeah, minus 113 is the price with Bet Rivers on the app now for Fabio Fognini, the Italian legend, to win at least one set, and that is our first official play of the Italian Masters this week. And we've gone with Sean's favourite Italian of all time to do it, Fabio Fognini. Let's move on to the next match. You did say the players who've had a good week before in Madrid, you might want to fade them, and Gabriel Diallo had a really, really good week. He reached the quarterfinals, but the week started off terribly because he got beat in qualification against Coric, and he only managed to get into the draw because of some withdrawals. Minus $2 for Diallo here. Marcus Giron is plus 155. That's his opponent. 2.5 is the spread, and the total here is 22.5. Giron hasn't playing that well. Let's be fair. He got beaten the Estoril Challenger by Vukic last week, and Madrid he got beat early on by Berrettini. But this is a tall ask from Diallo to come back from that quarterfinal run, one of his best his best ever run in 1,000, and come back to some reality here in a tough test against a player who can play a little bit on the clay. Yeah,
he was unlucky against Berrettini. Won the first set 7-6, lost the second set 7-6. Could have won it in straight sets that day. Giron, Estoril Challenger. There was some very peculiar results there. He'll be disappointed, obviously, losing to Vukic. The way Vukic has been in terrible form. Yeah, he'll be disappointed at that. But these odds they can't be right. I mean, they really can't. This is another one where the favourite is being priced on what they did in Madrid. If you're looking at this, apparently Diallo is some great clay court player now. If we believe in these odds, minus $2. He's only played 3 main level clay court tournaments in his career. And this situation in Rome, not just the changing conditions, but the overall situation is very, very different. I'll read out his quote of what he said after he won a couple of matches in Madrid. He said, "Entering the tournament as a lucky loser has allowed me to play more freely and relaxed on the court. I'm able to show the aggressiveness needed to win matches in environments like this." In other words, I had absolutely nothing to lose after I lost in qualies. I had a swing in pretty much every match with zero pressure, and he's ended up making the quarterfinals. We see this all the time with lucky losers. It's quite a remarkable phenomenon. It must be due to the fact that they've already lost, and it's not that they don't care, but there's no pressure on them whatsoever. Every match, your opponent is expected to beat you, and it's a very good situation mentally for these guys. Now he's in a less suitable situation and very, very different conditions against, a very solid player in Marcos Giron. If we look at the last 12 months at main level on all surfaces, the stats are virtually identical. Diallo, 52% win rate. Service points won and return points won total of 99.6. Giron, 53% win rate and 99.3. So virtually identical. Giron's done pretty well in Rome as well. Beat Schwartzman here a couple of years ago. 3-3 win-loss. Lost a very, very tight one last year to Rublev. 7-5 in the third. So he could certainly play in these conditions. Can Diallo? Well, we'll see. We know the conditions are favourable for Diallo in Madrid. Big serve, very aggressive. That's not necessarily going to get it done in Rome. It's a very different tournament. He might well win this match, Diallo, but minus $2. No, not for me. Massive amount of recency bias in this. There's no real sea-level clay court form that he's got, Diallo. So, yeah, happy to take Giron here, plus 155 at Bet Rivers.
Currently plus 155, which is the best price in the land. And we might lose that price by the time the podcast drops. If it went down to, say, plus 140, would you still bet it?
Yeah, I mean, there's no difference, as I said, in their stats on all surfaces over the last 12 months at main level. They're virtually identical. So this should be priced a lot closer to 50-50 than it is. I mean, it's nowhere near 50-50 at the minute. So, yeah.
One match that is close to 50-50 is our next match. It's Laslo Djere against Tomas Martin Etcheverry. Etcheverry just holds on to favouritism at minus 125. Laslo Djere is evens, but I think that line has actually moved a little bit. There is money coming for the Serbian here, Laslo Djere. They have met once before, and it was on clay. It was in 2023 in Hamburg. Laslo Djere won that in straight sets. 7-6, 6-3. If you look at the records of the two of them, Djere has a lot better recent record. He had a decent running qualification in Barcelona, ran into Alcaraz, got beat by Medvedev in Madrid. Etcheverry got beat by Musetti in Madrid, but he got beat in round 1 in Barcelona by Diminor, and in round 2 in Monte Carlo by Davidovich Fokina on the back of some poor form over in Miami in Houston before the clay court season started. Quite surprised to see Etcheverry the underdog here. I think he's the much more proven clay quarter. He has got the win head-to-head. The money has come for him. A little bit of a move now, I think. Let me just double check with Bet Rivers. The line now is... Let me find it. I can't find it. I'll find back to you in a minute. I think it's now minus 105 for Laslo Djere. So there has been a little bit of move towards the Serbian. Is it still value, or are you going to go totally against what I'm saying?
No, I think this is the wrong price. Well, I say it's the wrong price. It's about fitness. That's why this price is what it is, because Djere withdrew from Madrid mid-tournament. Then he didn't play in Estoril either due to a shoulder issue. We are going to have to assume that he's okay, because if he is, this looks a very, very good price indeed. I mean, he's had a lot of injury issues, Djere, over the years, last season in particular. But this season, excuse me, when he's been fit, he's shown much, much better form than Etcheverry. 2025 at main level on all surfaces, all of which were clay, incidentally, as far as Djere is concerned. 77% win rate, service points won and return points won, total of 106. Extremely impressive indeed. Etcheverry, 39% win rate and a total of 99. So, nowhere near. He's not even in the same page as Djere. Djere made the last 16. Last time he played here in Rome, lost to Casper Ruud. He's won 5 of his 9 matches here. Etcheverry has won 2 of his 4. As you said, the head-to-head. Similar conditions in Hamburg, 108-92 in favour of Djere in terms of the service points won and return points won totals of that match. Djere holding serve 91% of the time, winning 68% of his second serve points against 55% for Etcheverry. Etcheverry winning only 28% of return points. If you look at Etcheverry's form, excuse me, Etcheverry, he's only won back-to-back matches at any tournament once since the US Open last year. He's winning the odd first round, but not getting any further. So, recent form is hugely in favour of Laslo Djere. The only question mark really is about fitness, and that's why he is the price that he is. So, it's a gamble, but one that we have to take, I think.
Yeah, you might have missed the even money, a little bit lower than odds, a little bit minus money, minus 105 for Laslo Djere, but the overwhelming stats on the head-to-head make him a bet. Head across to the BetRivers website to make sure you get on these early. I think, what times? All the play starts at 11 your time, or 12 your time, Sean.
My time, about 11, I think. So it might be even 10. 11. Might actually be even be 10.
Well, so it's going to be early. So it's going to be a 5 a.m. start, 4 a.m. start. So your best bet is to get these bets on tonight. And there are line movements as well. When Sean said there, he's a bit worried about the fitness of the player. I always like it when the players we think is a little bit unfit, but the money comes from him. I'm always negative when the money comes from the opponent when a player that has a fitness injury. So there is positives in the market that Laslo Djere is fit here because the plus 100 even money has gone.
Yeah, it was 10 a.m. today. Sorry, mate. Yeah, it was 10 a.m.
10 a.m. So 10 a.m. So that's 4 a.m. Eastern time. So make sure you get across early. Our final match is an all-Italian affair between two young players who will know each other very, very well. Luca Nardi, 21-year-old, up against Flavio Cobolli, the 23-year-old. Cobolli is obviously a little bit higher in the world rankings now, doing a little bit better things than Nardi. But Nardi is a quality player. Minus 220 is the price for Cobolli. Plus 175 for Nardi, plus 2.5 and minus 2.5 is the spread. 21.5 is the total. They have met each before 3 times. Once in Umag in 2023, which Cobolli won on clay 6-1-7-5. They met the next gen finals also in 2023, which Nardi won as is that one. They won that one. Cobolli won, sorry, in Umag. I think I said Nardi. And the final match they played was in Auckland this year, where Nardi won the first set 6-2, and then Cobolli pulled out, retired. So this is a match that Nardi has had some decent runs in recently, and yet he's a big underdog here.
Yeah, I mean, it's Flavio Cobolli's birthday today, by the way.
Oh, happy, but I know he watches this every day with Stefanos Tsitsipas. So, Flavio Cobolli, I'm sure you'll be going to the party. I'm sure you will be on Instagram. You've had enough cake, so surely you don't want a bit of birthday cake.
I have had enough cake, you're right. Well, that's not cake, but I certainly had enough bread product. Wheat, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I do have a photo with actually, I don't. Lagan has a photo with Flavio Cobolli. So, we're friends of the family. I'm kind of a little bit put out that he's not text me.
I'm shocked. I'm sure it'll come later today.
Yeah, well, probably not after this segment of the show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, look, Nardi is one of those players that he just seemed to play his best in the big matches. He's not exactly Mr. Consistent, but he's not afraid of beating a big player in a big match. He beat Djokovic at Indian Wells. I know Djokovic wasn't at his best that day, but it doesn't really matter. It shows mental fortitude. Djokovic has won so many matches on his name. All the big players do. They don't have to be playing that great. It's just very difficult to knock them off, and he did that at Indian Wells. Also took a set of Alcaraz in Doha, so the level is there somewhere. It's just a question of finding it on a consistent basis. I just think this might be a good situation for him. He's underdog in this match, plus 175. He won't know about the odds, but he'll know he's not favourite to win. That's for sure. Which means no pressure. Against an opponent he's beaten twice in 3 meetings, albeit one of them was by retirement. I think Cobolli was one of our outright retirements, actually, one of our 12 this year. But so he knows he can beat this opponent. He knows all the pressure of this all-Italian affair will be on the other guy. He's not expected to win. He can have a go. And Cobolli, I know he's been playing pretty well, but he's only won 3 of his 8 matches, here in Rome, which that would be ringing a few alarm bells with me. If you're thinking of backing him at minus 220, he's obviously a guy that is nervy playing here, hasn't been able to produce his best tennis, presumably because of the situation. It's not that easy. All your friends and family coming here and wanting you to win, and particularly they probably expect him to win this match. It's not that good of a situation. So his record here is questionable. Nardi played all right here last year, beat Altmaier in the first round, then lost to Holger Rune, so no disgrace there. Played pretty well last week as well. Nardi quarterfinals in Estoril. Very good preparation. The head-to-head, there's not a great deal in it at all. 99 to 101. Cobolli with a slight lead over the course of the 3 matches. So I think this is going to be a long one. I could certainly be interested in the over 22.5 games here, which was, when I looked earlier, it was plus 104 with BetRivers, or potentially take Nardi on the handicap. Well, one of those options is probably the way to go in this. I think Cobolli, if he does win this, he'll have to really battle.
Yeah, big match for both players in their home tournament. So we expect a long one. 21.5 is the line on the caption, but you can, on the BetRivers website, move it up to 22.5, 23.5, lose the toggle, and see which one you want to take. That's it for our first Betting Weekly Game Bet match of the week from the tournament over in Rome. Sean, before we go, we've got 3 outright picks, which we've already gone through: Musetti, Cerundolo, and Fonseca. What are your official plays on the matches?
Yeah, so the official plays on the matches: Fabio Fognini plus 1.5 sets. Not sure what price is now. I think he said -113.
Yeah, -1.
To beat Jacob Fearnley. Any number of ways you could play that one. You could play the handicap games if you wanted to as well, or instead of. Marcos Giron to beat Diallo, plus 155 at Bet Rivers, and Laslo Djere, I think he's 1.95, -105 with Bet Rivers to beat Tomas Etcheverry.
Yeah, there's 3 bets there, and this is a moving market, so my advice is to get across quickly because there is money coming for those 3 selections before we've given you the picks here. So get across early and make sure you bet them. Not only is the tennis this week, there's a huge amount of content, and it's ever growing here on the Betting Weekly Studios. A little bit later on today, hopefully you will drop in time, 11 o'clock Eastern Time, Betting Weekly Live, Steve Wiss and Will White giving a deep dive into tonight's Champions League semi-final second leg between Inter Milan and Barcelona. And tomorrow I will be on looking at the Arsenal-Paris Saint-Germain match. Can Arsenal come back from a 1-0 deficit? I'll be on there 11 o'clock Eastern Time tomorrow. 1 o'clock today and tomorrow again. Betting Weekly Tennis Live. Roy Giovanni and Tim Dennis give you all the best play action at the Italian Masters from Bet Rivers. And our 2 new shows, 2 o'clock Eastern Time. Betting Weekly Hardball. Adam the Ball and Doug Kazarian react to yesterday's MLB games and share their best bets and props with Bet Rivers for this evening. And at 3 o'clock, Betting Weekly Fast Break. Doug Kazarian and his guests will look back at last night's huge win for the New York Knicks and share their best bets and props for tonight's NBA game. So whatever your sport, whatever you betty, whatever you fancy, it's all covered here on the fastest growing YouTube channel. All we need you to do is hit that subscribe button, give us a like, give us a comment, let us know your thoughts, and we'll do the rest for you and hopefully mark your card and give you some winners. Sean, thank you very much as always. Have a great time over in Rome. You'll be able to follow Sean on our Instagram and our socials at Because We Win. And hopefully myself and Sean will be back on Thursday before I fly out, give you a rundown on the tournament as it goes on. And maybe I'll catch one in on Saturday when I'll be in Rome and Sean will be in the UK. That'll be our 3 shows this week. That's it for today. Enjoy the rest of your day and hopefully cash some tickets as well. Take care. Goodbye.